Welcome to WeeChats with Brilliant People, hosted by Dr. Allison Rodius, Professor of Sports Psychology at John F. Kennedy University. In each episode, Allison talks to highly successful people in music, sport, and the boardroom. She digs into the mental training techniques that they use to ride out the waves that challenge them in work and in life. So enjoy these WeeChats with Brilliant People.
Welcome back to WeeChats with Brilliant People. I'm here again with my friend and colleague Jeff Greenwald, and last time we were talking, Jeff, it was a lot about, you know, the three, I'm just using a three-pronged model that you were talking about in terms of those dials. I was also wondering if we could touch a little bit on the mental preparation that you actually did, because you know you won the World Championships, which was phenomenal, just a couple of months ago. So maybe you could tell me a little bit about what did you actually do to prepare yourself for that event?
Well, this was unique in a way to this last World Championship, because I actually hired a former coach of John McEnroe. He, you know, I'd worked with him for a bit, and not surprisingly suggested very strongly, I should say, that I should come to the net more. So he actually tactically saw me play.
Yeah.
He said, "Wow, that's great," but he said, "You got a lot more you can do." And I trained with him just about 6 times. So he had me actually coming to the net more than I ever have in my life. And I was willing to do it. I felt as though I needed to do something more. So that was interesting, to actually integrate something a couple of months before this particular tournament.
Okay.
And I went in and I used that, and it was very, very effective. But the other thing that, you know, really it begins, and it began for me very early, you know, 3 months before, I'm training a cardio, and I'm on the bike, and I'm really strengthening my body.
Right.
And there's so much confidence you get as you know, work on specific things in your game, whether it be tactically or physically. And so I train properly. So when you're out there, you feel as though you've done the work. You know, I think we can all relate to that, right? When we've, you know, really put the time in, and so you feel like when you get on the court, you've really done your stuff. You've done your homework. And when it's 5-all in the third set or whatever, there's not really a lot of bluffing. You're there. You feel like you have the energy, and so there's just a lot of preparation that goes into you know, big tournaments.
What about on the mental side? Maybe is there anything specific you would do the night before?
Well, certainly I visualize quite a bit. I have since I was 15 years old, and just picturing myself performing the way I'd like to, playing loosely, really process-based, not really winning per se. You know, I used to kind of picture myself walking up to the net and shaking hands, and I'm the winner, when I wasn't maybe feeling like, maybe I wasn't as confident, but I feel more now that the more I'm able to focus on the process and things that I need to do to win, those visuals and how I'm going to play and executing that. So the night before, I'll certainly picture that, and even all along, picture shots that I want to hit, and so visualization is just sort of a natural part of the
So when you say picture yourself, it's as if you're watching yourself?
Yeah, you know, watching myself, and also even, you know, actually hitting the shot. I can do both, and I will do both. And they're just
feel it as well.
And feel it, and I think that's really important, actually, that you can feel sort of the feeling of the shot, you know, loosely. And after a while, you get good enough at it. You can. I often just, you know, getting a Gatorade in the supermarket. 30 minutes before the match, I can actually picture those shots, and you know, and just trying to stay, you know, engaged and focused on my plan. And there's a lot of confidence that comes from that kind of preparation.
Okay.
So.
Anything else that you do in terms of, in addition to visualization?
I actually do some progressive muscle relaxation, which you know, tensing and releasing of muscles, which, you know, and I'll do that on match day sometimes. in the Worlds and in the Nationals. I did that with just 5 minutes of tensing and releasing to make sure that my muscle nervous system is relaxed and loose, and I have access to that feeling of being loose. Because I think if we don't have access to that, oftentimes it sort of eludes us when we're under pressure. So I do some of that, which helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so much of it is built up. It's preparation. Leading to the event.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Absolutely. And is there anything that was the Worlds, that tournament where you won, was that any different in respect of your mental preparation to other tournaments?
Well, I felt like I had a good chance to win it. I wanted to win it, believed I could, and so
your confidence was high.
It was high, but you got to be careful with that, because if you kind of go in expecting and I should and this and that, you get way too outcome oriented.
Yeah.
And it usually can bite you.
Yeah.
And so it's really a challenge, a constant challenge of just staying present with your preparation and what are you doing, what do you need to do to play well,
right.
And every player needs to know what that is. The night before the quarterfinals, playing the #1 player in the world in the ITF, I saw him play, and I felt like I had a very good chance to beat him, and I got almost too attached to that happening, but yet I still had to sleep. I had to go to sleep, and I had to wake up and go play, and so I really had to sort of stop myself and literally say, Jeff, you don't control that, and here's what I want you to do tomorrow. I want you to go and really enjoy the moment. I want you to enjoy it, have fun hitting the ball, and embrace it, and sort of reminding myself of this is fun, and it needs to stay fun. If it does, I think that peak performance, your best performances are there for you, but it can't be I really need to and I should. So it's that whole thing.
It has to be all about you, not about what other people are also putting on you.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
People, my coach actually said, I expect you to go there and win this thing.
Right.
And so that was, I had to manage that. But
oh, thanks very much.
He believed in me, which so I actually reframed it like he believed in me.
Yes,
You really ought to win this, and so I tempered that and just focused on what I needed to. But
I like that.
Yeah.
How about we just touched on confidence. How about when you don't feel confident? Have you ever been in a situation that you can describe for me that you really didn't do? You either didn't feel that well, or you didn't feel that great, or you really messed it up, and anything come to mind?
Oh yeah, there's many situations where being down, being up and then losing a few games, and now you're down and it's not looking good.
Yeah.
So always, sometimes, funny enough, we get too attached to the outcome, and sometimes if we're doubting ourselves whether we can actually do it, I've said something like, you can win, you can. Which doesn't mean I should,
right,
or I have to, but it's
possible.
It's possible, and you're down, and it's looking tough, and they're coming back and playing well, and you're in that pressure situation, and you can do this.
Yeah.
And to bring back the possibility that things like that do happen, and so sometimes we need a coach in our own head. We need to coach ourselves, coach our brain, that it's possible to still pull it off. So. You got to be your own best friend out there. It's pretty tough going. So.
And I bet you've got stories about when things really didn't go that well. How have you bounced back afterwards? You lost an important match, let's say, or what do you do to bounce back?
Well, after the initial bounce, and disappointment, it's and I took losses hard, always did.
Yeah.
But I really learned, I feel like in some ways the most from losing. I come back determined and wanting to learn and fix what I did, and really try. I just feel like learning and growing and challenging yourself is so important, rather than sort of thinking it's over and you blew it and it's not fixed. That there's an opportunity to learn. So I always actually come back stronger from losing. It makes me it inspires me to play better and to do the things that I didn't do. So which probably keeps me going too.
Yeah, that's
I
good.
Still, I still want to play at my top level as much as I can.
Yeah.
While I'm still walking.
How long does it take you to bounce back, do you think? I mean, within the same day or the next day or?
No, a couple days. I mean, I used to really perseverate and think about the match and sort of I could have and I should have and if only I, know. And now, it's pretty quick. Yeah. A day or so. I mean, I feel it. I think about it. What could I have done? How did that happen? What, and I try to learn, and then that week I'm back working on something.
That's good. So, I asked you previously about your top tips for people who are wanting to, perform. What about people who are wanting to get into our field of sports psychology? Do you have any top tips for those people?
Well, I think curiosity is critical, and passion for learning and helping people. I know many people get into the field because they're wanting to sort of learn about themselves, which is understandable, as I did in many ways too. But it does need eventually to move to, how to help people, how to really understand people's struggles and their story and their pain and their frustration, and trying to really understand them, not from your own perspective only, but really understand people and get into their shoes and want to really help. And sports psychology appears glamorous in some ways. I think some people come into the field thinking that, they'll be around athletes and that's really cool, but the fact is they're people, and that's I think the most important thing is to remember that athletes are human beings putting themselves in stressful situations, and to treat them like that, human first, athlete second. So I'd say curiosity, passion, compassion, would be good qualities, so.
I like that. Excellent.
Good.
All right, so I think we'll wrap it up there. I've really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit better.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers once again. So tune in next time for WeeChats with Brilliant People and see which next brilliant person I am going to be talking to. Bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed these WeeChats. You can follow WeeChats with Brilliant People on Twitter @WeeChats and Facebook, and subscribe to the podcast series on iTunes or any Droid platform. WeeChats with Brilliant People.